Hello everybody, hope you had a good summer. Did you miss football? Did you miss it a little bit? I know I certainly did. But we are back and we are coming to you from the home of world football, and that is the Cusp Stadium. Oh, I already feel a bit dirty after saying that comment. But what better way to kick off the excitement for a new season with the tried and trusted predictions video. It is where I take wild pot shots about where every team is going to finish in League One. And as you can see, I am clearly, and as you will see during this video, a biased Oxford United fan. So if I'm talking about any other club other than Oxford United, then please do take my comments with a huge truckload of salt, because I know far less about your club than you do. I know that. You don't need to put it down in the comments, or do if you do. And also, I'm going to run through the league table slightly differently to what I did last season. Last season, I did it in alphabetical order. This time, I'm actually going to go through the table 24th to first. You can use timestamps down below if you just want to jump to where I talk about your club. That is absolutely fine. No problem at all. But if you do, the very least you can do is hit that like button. If you don't like it, feel free to hit dislike as well. But please hit one of those buttons. And if you like the content, please think about subscribing to the channel. And here it is, folks. Here is that League One table. Obviously blacked out, so you can't get a sneak peek about who I'm going to talk about. But let's not waste any more time. I do think this season is going to be very evenly matched, but we do have to start with the teams that are going to get relegated. And the side I've got finishing in 24th place is Cheltenham Town. Apologies for the 2 or 3 Cheltenham Town fans that probably end up watching this, but I do think it's going to be a struggle for Wade Elliott's side. It's hard to get away from the narrative of how does this side cope with the loss of Alfie May. If you take out the fact that May scored 20 goals last season, the rest of the side only scored another 25. So they weren't that prolific even with Alfie May in the team. In defence, they've also lost Caleb Taylor, and they've also lost Ryan Broom and Ryan Jackson. So you can see they've lost key players at both ends of the pitch. Curtis Davis has come in from Derby, and he will certainly add some much needed steel and experience and leadership to that back line. And Rob Street could be decent for them up front as well. And if they bring in some more players, I could well be sitting here with egg on my face getting this one completely wrong. But I think it's going to be a struggle, as I've already said. And I've got Cheltenham coming rock bottom in 24th place. Coming in just above the bottom in 23rd place is Stevenage. Look, Stevenage dramatically overachieved last season, coming in 2nd place in League Two. And Steve Evans deserves a lot of credit, but I do think this step up in quality is going to be a bit too much for them. Probably Steve Evans is arguably Stevenage's biggest asset, because you know his side are going to be extremely hard to play against. They are going to make no apologies about playing direct football, being physical and being hard to deal with. They are going to bombard the areas where they can from set pieces and from general open play, and they'll pride themselves on being tough to prize open at the back as well. Jordan Roberts and Jamie Reid were very impressive for Stevenage last season, scoring 10 goals apiece, as well as centre-back Carl Perry-Gianni. Stevenage have also added a lot of serviceable League One players like Thompson and Thompson. Yes, that's right, they've signed 3 Thompsons, as well as Harry Anderson and Nick Freeman. But these guys will need to show a lot more than what they've showed recently in League One if Stevenage are going to have a good season. And ultimately, I do think they're going to struggle. And ultimately, I think they're going to drop straight back down. I've got Stevenage in 23rd. In 22nd place, I have Port Vale. Apologies, Valiant fans. Andy Crosby, ex-Oxford United, Andy Crosby takes charge of Port Vale for their 2nd season back in League One, and their first one sure was a strange one. They seemed completely safe at one point, and then the wheels fell off and they ended up battling against relegation and just staying up kind of by the skin of their teeth, but they did enough to stay up comfortably last season. Unfortunately, I do think this season around it is going to be a bit more of a struggle. Finishing scoring chances was a real problem for Port Vale last season, and also they were quite vulnerable in defence as well. Other than Ellis Harrison, I'm not really too sure where the goals are going to come from, but they have brought in useful players in other areas. In goal, Ludwella and Ripley have come in, and they're going to probably be more reliable than Aidan Stone and Jack Stevens were last season. Connor Grant is an excellent signing from Plymouth, and along with Tom Sang and Loney Arblaster, this will improve Port Vale's midfield. But again, I just have to come back to goals, and I just don't think that ultimately they're going to score enough goals to stay in the league, and that is why I do have Port Vale in 22nd place. The side getting the final relegation spot is Cambridge United. They may embarrass my Oxford United on the opening day of the season, but hopefully not. But it was a skin of the teeth escape for Cambridge last season. A real great escape, if you were like, where they kind of found some great form right at the back end. But they have lost some of their key players from last season, most notably Sam Smith, their key goal scorer. But you've also got Lloyd Jones, Harvey Nibbs and Joe Ironside all leaving. And they do leave big holes to fill. Also, Conor McGrandles is not going to be back on loan either. They have gone about addressing that though. 4 decent signings so far. Danny Andrew, Jack Stevens, which will be interesting to see how he goes after being released from Oxford, Jordan Cousins, and they will be hoping that Loney Gassam Adame will become the focal point of their side, a lot like what Sam Smith has been for the last couple of years. I just think that it's going to be another tough season, and this time ultimately they're going to fail in their bid to stay up. I have Cambridge as the final side going down, Cambridge in 21st place. In 20th place, I do have Wigan Athletic. Look, it's going to be a tough season for Wigan, and I don't think the fans are expecting anything other than that. They are starting the season on -8 points. And it's deja vu for those long-suffering Wigan fans who have been through this kind of crap before. And as I always said, you have clubs that are badly run by poor businessmen who take the club for granted, and who suffers? Ultimately, it is the fans. So I do really feel sorry for the Latics fans in this one. And you've got Sean Maloney desperately trying to cobble together a decent enough squad to try and stay up. But there certainly is quality in this Wigan side, but I would say there is a lack of depth behind that first 11. You are kind of being propped up with a lot of youngsters, particularly in midfield. But there are goals in the side, and Wigan will need plenty of them. Charlie Wyke, Josh McGuinness and Callum McManaman have all proven that they can score goals at this level. So there should be plenty of entertaining games, I would say, from Wigan's point of view. But it is going to be a tough season, but I do think that they've got enough firepower in the team to stay up. And I've got Wigan staying up in 20th place. In 19th place, I have Shrewsbury Town. Look, Shrewsbury were a really tough side to play against last season and probably surprised a lot of people. At times they flirted with the playoffs but had a really comfortable mid-table finish. But let's be fair, they were a tough side to watch as well. But you did have the surprise departure of Steve Cottrell. Matt Taylor played football against Matt Taylor, got a little claim to fame there. Last time I played against him, we won, and he got sent off for handball on the line. But that's a story for another time. Has been brought in to carry on the good work that Steve Cottrell did. But I think it's going to be a tough ask to carry that on. If you look at how the Shrews did last season, they made the most of the shots that they had on goal. They were the third worst in terms of shots per game, and they've lost 2 of their top scorers from last season as well. Luke Leahy and Christian Sadie will not be there. They carried the bulk of the goal threat, and they don't have that this time around. But defensively, they are still a very strong and hard side to break down, and this is an area where they will need to be strong again, and this is where they've kind of focused in their recruitment so far, bringing in 5 of the 7 signings so far have been in defence. I just can't see Shrewsbury having as good a season as they did last season. I don't see them going down, but I think it's going to be a relegation fight, and I have Shrewsbury finishing in 19th place. In 18th place, I have Carlisle United, promoted through the playoffs, and they will be hoping that they can secure their position in League One. Now, the biggest problem for the Cumbrians is Christian Dennis rejected a contract and he went and joined Tranmere. His 20 goals from last season are going to be hard to replace, but they do still have the core of that promotion winning side intact though, and they do appear to have a very strong spine. Thomas Holly in goal, Paul Huntington in defence, and Callum Guy in midfield were all excellent last season, and on top of that, Owen Moxon was one of the best players in League Two. They've also made some solid signings as well, the most notable ones being Danny Butterworth up front and Sam Lavelle in defence. Carlisle liked to press sides high last season. It remains to be seen whether they will be able to do that against better quality opposition or whether they're going to be picked off time and time again on the counter-attack. I think that they're going to be good enough to stay up, and I have Carlisle finishing in 18th place. Just above them in 17th place is another newly promoted side, and that is Northampton Town. They finished in 3rd place last season, and John Brady will be optimistic that this Cobblers side can stay in League One, and obviously so am I. But I like the look of this Northampton Town side, and I think they're a very, very good side going forward, and they've got plenty of players that can score goals, and ultimately I think that's going to be the difference between them and some of the sides finishing in the relegation zone. And they play in an aggressive manner as well, which I think is going to upset more than a few sides this season. Sam Hoskins was magnificent last season with 22 goals and 7 assists, and along with a Perry Pinnock and the returning loanee Kieran Bowie, they have plenty of attack and options, and they've also have Danny Hilton as well, who can still do a job if needed. Look, they're going to be in a relegation scrap. They're not going to be, I don't think they're going to be looking at playoffs or anything like that. They're still going to be happy to stay in League One, and they probably do need to strengthen at the back. But I think that it is a fight that Northampton will win, and they are going to finish in 17th place. In 16th place, I have Exeter City, and I feel it's going to be a bit of a rebuild job for Exeter City. Matt Taylor's side, not the other Matt Taylor who's manager of Shrewsbury. This is a different Matt Taylor. I never played football against this Matt Taylor. They've lost a lot of their key players that were very instrumental to them having a good season last season. Aaron Collins, Jamal Blackman, Genvy Brown, Jack Sparks, Jack Caprice and Jay Stansfield, who was on loan, have all left, and there's also rumours that Sam Nombi might be on his way too. They have brought in 3 youngsters on loan, and Tom Carroll along with Jack Aitchen do look like good additions, but I just have a feeling that they're going to struggle compared to what they did last season. They're always going to try play attacking football and play football the right way, and they were a very dangerous pressing side and were very good on the counter-attack last season. So again, expect Exeter to have plenty of high-scoring, exciting games, and I don't think they're going to go down, but it will be a lower half finish, and Exeter finish in 16th place. 15th place, I have Burton Albion, and the first thing you notice when you look at this Burton side is a huge turnover of players. 13 players left at the end of the season, and the 6 loanees also left as well. Jasper Moon has been signed, who was on loan there last season, but you've got Craig McGillivray and Connor Shaughnessy. Move on. Were 2 players that they would have liked to have kept. But Dino Marmria has done an excellent job with the Burton side, and he has looked about strengthening this team, and they've brought in 10 players so far, and you can add Oxford Steve Seddon to that one on loan, making it 11 new players so far. Notable signings: Cole Stockton. Expect some highlights from him this season. Jamal Blackman, Raheem Harper, they will be key additions to this side. And the Brewers will be hoping that Joe Powell and Sam Hughes can continue to improve on what they did last season. But under Marmria, Burton are a much better footballing side as well. Not only are they strong from set pieces, but they're much more potent from open play as well. And one thing that they know how to roll their sleeves up and fight. Stable season, solid season, and I've got them finishing in 15th place. 14th place now, and the final promoted side from League Two, and so they've done the best out of the promoted side, and no surprising, it was the winners of League Two as well. That is Leyton Orient, but they are, along with other promoted sides, going to have to rebuild after losing some of their key players. Goalkeeper Lawrence Vigouroux has gone to Burnley, and top scorer Paul Smith has gone to QPR. Charlie Kelman, Ed Turns and Kieran Sadlier, who were very impressive last season on loan, also will not be there as well. But it's not doom and gloom for the O's. Of course it's not, because they still have a strong spine to this side with the likes of Omar Beckles in defence. El Mizuni is back again on loan and can join up in midfield with Darren Pratley. And then you've got the likes of Moncur and Archibald playing just behind one of the new strikers in Joe Pigott or Dan Adji. I think it's going to be a decent showing from Leyton Orient this season, and I don't think they're going to be in any danger of going down at all. A solid return to life in League One, and I've got the O's finishing in 14th place. Coming in 13th place is Fleetwood Town, and Fleetwood were very solid, certainly at the back end of last season, and I expect them to be solid again this season. It's a second season in charge for Scott Brown. They've released a lot of players, but it seemed like they were just getting rid of a lot of dead wood, really, and the majority of the squad that did very well last season is still there. Danny Mayer and Ryan Broom are two players that have come in, and they look to be very good signings, and expect the likes of Rooney and Vela to have good seasons as well. A couple of good young players in there as well. Brendan Sparrog Viadu, probably saying that wrong, and Promise Amoche, I'm probably saying that wrong as well. They had good seasons last season. I want to see if they can add more goals, more assists to their campaign, because that is certainly an area where Fleetwood do need to improve in creativity. Jack Marriott and Jaden Stockley, they are decent players though, and they will do a job up top for Fleetwood, and they'll be hoping that they can fire the goals that they will need. And if Fleetwood do have a better than expected season, they could be an outside bet for pushing the playoffs, but I just don't think they've got enough quality to do that, but I do think they're going to have another comfortable season in 13th place. Just sneaking into the bottom of the top half, that is faint praise, isn't it, is Lincoln City in 12th place. It's very obvious where the strengths and weaknesses of Mark Kennedy's side were last season. Very solid in defence, struggled to score goals. Changes to their team: Lucas Jensen will be the new goalkeeper, and they will also miss Regan Poole. But other than that, the back line is as solid as it was last season. I'd like to think, or Lincoln fans would certainly like to think, that Lewis Monsma can stay fit, because he's been dogged by injury for the last couple of seasons. He will certainly strengthen that side, along with the likes of Jackson, O'Connor and Ayoma in defence. But it's going forward where Lincoln need to improve. And if they can indeed improve, then like Fleetwood, they could be an outside bet at getting in the playoffs, because they are a very, very organised team. Tyler Walker has come in, and he'll carry the weight of expectation of scoring a large majority of the goals. But along with Jack Diamond and top scorer from last season, Ben House, they certainly do have options in the team, and you should be optimistic that they can be more of an attacking threat, but I still just feel it is going to be a little bit too much more of deja vu for the Imps fans, and I've got them finishing in 12th place. Coming in 11th is Wycombe, which very much disappoints me, because last season and ultimately this season, they'd be bottom alphabetically, so I used to be able to say last and therefore least. So not last, but definitely therefore least. That's a joke, Wycombe fans. It's Wycombe Wanderers coming in 11th place. Look, Wycombe going into their first season without Gareth Ainsworth in charge for probably the first time since 1955. I think it's something like that. But Matt Bloomfield, very much an Ainsworth disciple, is in charge of this team. So I can't imagine it's going to be too much of a departure from the way Gareth Ainsworth plays. But who knows? Maybe he will dare to change it. It's a side that have been strong in defence for a number of years and extremely well organised. And most of the signings so far have been around strengthening that back line. But also it does mean that they do have a lack of quality, but creativity and imagination maybe going forward, certainly since the likes of Mahetmi left in the January transfer window, and when Lewis Wing left as well. Still got Sam Vokes there though, and you still got Gareth McCleary, who is still performing at 36. And I'm very intrigued to see how Luke Leahy goes. He was excellent at Shrewsbury last season, so he should be a strong addition to this Wycombe Wanderers side. Along as that is Richard Keogh, who will add a lot of experience in the back. Wycombe will be in and around the playoffs again. They really will. 11th place seems a little low. I don't think there'll be many points separating the top half teams really in this one, so Wycombe will certainly be pushing playoffs. They did have a horrible habit of conceding late goals last season, which they will need to eliminate. And hey, let's not even rule out Gareth Ainsworth coming back if he does do a bad job and gets sacked with QPR. But as it stands at the moment, I've got Wycombe finishing in 11th. Coming in 10th place is the Gasheads. It is Bristol Rovers, second season back in League One for Joey Barton's side. Conceding goals was a big problem for the Pirates last season, and they'll be hoping that James Wilson and George Friend can come in and do a good job at centre-back. They certainly do look good signings, and in fact, the four players that they have signed have looked excellent so far. Genvi Brown and Luke Thomas will also strengthen this first side. Rovers will be hoping for more players through the door though, and ideally a goalkeeper and some more depth in defence as well. But it's going forward where this Rovers side look at their best as Barton continues to try and play good football and continue to try and play a possession-based game. And the Pirates will be hoping that Aaron Collins can have another impressive season as well. Look, they're going to be a tough side to play against, and usually a very tough side on their own patch as well. And from an Oxford United point of view, I can always guarantee that they're going to beat us home and away. And like with the other sides I've mentioned recently, you cannot rule them out from having a shot at the playoffs this time around. But I do think it's going to be a 10th place finish for Bristol Rovers. In 9th place, and it's another Oxford United rival, it is one of the relegated sides. It is Reading. Oh boy, where do I start with Reading? I'm going to have to do a little bit on this one. There's a lot to unpack here. Firstly, from a personal point of view as an Oxford United fan, it would be very nice to play Reading again. It has been a long time since we've been in the same league as them. Thames Valley Royals history and all that. But I feel massively sorry for the Reading fans, not just because you have to slum it with the likes of Oxford in League One, but the off-the-field problems have dogged this club for far too long now, and ultimately who suffers? It is the fans. Not paying players on time led to a points deduction last season, which ultimately cost them their championship status. Another points deduction does loom for this season, but that has not been finalised yet, so at the point of doing this video, that's still not confirmed, so I'm going to take it from the point of view of saying that they are starting on 0 points at the start of the season. On the playing side, they do have a quality manager that's come in. Ruben Sellers is somewhat of a coup, I would say, for Reading to have at this level. And once he gets used to the muck and nettles of League One, I think he's going to do a very good job. But as you can imagine, he's had to do a huge rebuilding process, a bit like what Derby had a year ago. So the pieces are far from being in place for this Royal squad. The majority of the defence that was in there last season is still intact. And up front, they got some decent players as well, with Harvey Nibbs and Sam Smith coming in. And you've also got the likes of Andy Carroll, who's going to be a threat at this level, you would imagine, if he can stay fit. But it's in midfield where this side needs a lot of strengthening. Charlie Savage and Lewis Wing are new signings, but it's where this Royal squad does look at their weakest. And for me, there's just too many variables to think that they are going to mount a serious promotion push. There or thereabouts, but ultimately falling short, and I think they're going to finish in 9th place. Coming in 8th place is Peterborough United. Peterborough obviously finished in the playoffs last season, and with the agonies of those playoffs behind them, Darren Ferguson is going to set his sights on another promotion campaign. Now, it's stating the bloody obvious that Johnson, Clark's, Harris goals are going to be the catalysts towards Peterborough's season. He scored 27 of them last season, and I'm just really surprised that no championship club has ever come in for him. But I don't think this posh side is as good as the one that was there last season. Jack Taylor and Joe Ward are huge losses creatively, and I just don't think the recruitment has been that strong either. Peterborough do still have excellent options though, with the likes of Kwame Poku, Efron Mason Clark, had very, very good seasons last season. I'm also going to be interested to see how Tasha Minga goes up front as well. Peterborough are going to run the playoffs very close again, but whilst last season they kind of crept in at the last minute, this season I have them falling short, and I have the Posh finishing in 8th place. Coming in 7th place and just missing out on that playoff spot is Blackpool, another relegated side from the Championship and another side that is in transition after having a really poor season last time out. But Blackpool fans, I'm sure you're going to be delighted. I think that there was a little bit of angst, but I think you've kind of warmed to it again now, of Neil Critchley returning as manager. He did a fantastic job first time around, but he has got a rebuilding process as a lot of players have left. Curtis Nelson, Jordan Thornley, thank you very much for Jordan Thornley, Gary Medine and Reece James has left as well, Reece James being sold to Sheffield Wednesday, but most notably is losing the talismanic striker of Yerry Yates. Yates went to Swansea for a decent fee, so you would expect that there is money for this Blackpool side to spend on rebuilding the squad. Kyle Joseph has come in as part of the Yates deal, and I can tell you he was at Oxford last season, and Blackpool fans, you are going to really enjoy watching him play. He has got such a sounds cliche, but the effort and work rate that he puts in, he's got such a big heart, and you're going to really enjoy, and I think you're going to love watching Kyle Joseph this season. And I'm really keen to see how he would do this season as well. I would have liked him to come back to Oxford. Oliver Norburn, Matthew Pennington are also good additions in attack. But we'll have to see what other players come in, because I just think they might lack a little bit of firepower and a bit of overall quality to make the playoffs or to make an automatic spot. And I have Blackpool finishing just outside in 7th place. But just remember, Blackpool fans, all other fans of sides that have finished below this point, remember, I am biased towards my own team because we head to the playoffs now, folks. And in 6th place, it is Oxford United. Last season, we were terrible. Well documented on my channel, and we massively underachieved. Probably only MK Dons were the side that probably underachieved more than us. And worryingly, we've got their old manager now who helped them underachieve last season. But let's not think about that. Let's think about what a great job Liam Manning is doing, and what a great job he did saving us last season and of rebuilding this squad in his own image. And there is certainly a lot more optimism around Oxford United than there was last season, and things feel very different to how they did under Carl Robinson. But let's get back to how he's building that squad. One of the things that we've liked is actually players have come through the door early. Signings felt like a bit of an afterthought last season, but no, we brought signings in nice and early and having a good pre-season with them. James Beadle is going to be the new number 1, and he looks very comfortable playing out from the back, and that's going to be a key theme for Liam Manning's Oxford United. Jordan Thornley returns in defensive well after impressing on loan a couple of seasons ago. Thank you very much, Blackpool. Josh McEachran comes in from MK Dons, a very experienced head in midfield. And Ruben Rodriguez, a lot of people are out trying to sign him. He chose Oxford, and he hopefully is going to bring some of the quality that he showed for Notts County over the last couple of years. But you can't get away from the fact that Oxford need goal scorers. Mark Harris has been brought in, and hopefully he is going to be one of them. Looks like he's got a decent turn of pace, but needs to get goals. But I would like to think Oxford needs to bring in at least 2 more strikers if we are going to have a serious promotion push this time around. I think there is going to be a lot of fun watching Oxford United this season. Already from what I've seen, we look a pretty good side pressing the ball and look very comfortable passing the ball through the thirds as well. I do worry that sometimes the passing might be for passing's sake and rather than with a purpose. But hey, if you can't hype up your own team as a fan, then what is the point of being a fan? And I know I'm being biased, and be fair to put that in the comments, but I have Oxford finishing in 6th place. Look, I could have put them higher, but I haven't. Finishing above Oxford United in 5th place is Portsmouth, another ex-Oxford United defender in charge. You had Andy Crosby in there at Exeter. You've got John Messinio in there at Portsmouth. This is his first full season in charge as a manager, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes. Expectation is always high for Portsmouth, but it's maybe even more than usual. But it has been a case of they've certainly brought in some good players, but it's been about clearing out a lot of the dead wood as well. But you can't argue that Portsmouth do look a much stronger side this time as well. Regan Pull and Jack Sparks are 2 centre-backs that have come in from Lincoln and Exeter, and they both look like excellent centre-backs. Gavin White, Anthony Scully, Christian Sadie will bring a lot of pace and skill and goals. Gavin White maybe not so much, to the forward line. And add this to the strength that's already there with the likes of Raggett, Curtis, Pack, Morrill and top scorer Colby Bishop. Those fans will be hoping he can have another 20-plus goal scoring season, and the Portsmouth fans have every right to be excited. I just always worry with Portsmouth is the expectation might spill over a bit, and if they don't do as well as hoped, that might spill over into anger, and Messinio might not be able to deal with that pressure being new to management. It is a large expectations, as I say, on this to get this club up. And he will need to keep a fairly large squad happy. But I think he will, and I think he's good enough to do that, and I think it's going to be a good year for Portsmouth. Getting rid of all those crappy negative managers, a good manager been there playing positive football. Portsmouth to finish 5th. 4th place is Barnsley. Heartbreak for Barnsley last season. They did virtually everything to get promoted and just fell heartbreakingly short. But it is another side in a bit of transition. Michael Duff jumped ship to Swansea, and they brought in a bit of a left field choice in Neil Collins coming in as boss. Off the field as well, EFL have announced that they are in trouble with breach of ownership rules, which isn't great, and you don't know where that leaves the club at the moment as well, as it could be, at worst case scenario, a possible points deduction. And again, fucking owners, man. They just, so many times, bad ownership have just messed around club. Barnsley are far too good of a club to be messed around like this. And again, who suffers? The fans. On the field as well, they've lost Mads Anderson. He's a colossus of a centre-back. He's going to leave a big hole, as is Harry Isted, who was excellent on loan last season. He has joined Charlton this time around. As I said, big holes to fill, and they've not really brought in anyone of note, really, either on loan either. So that's a bit of a worry. But I do think the nucleus of this squad is still really good, with the likes of Devante Cole, Herbie Kane, Luca Connell and Nicky Cadden. They've still got superb quality in this side. And if they start well, a lot of these off-the-field problems will melt into the background, and I think they will. And I still think Oakwell will be a fortress this season as well, and Barnsley will finish in 4th place. In 3rd place, and just outside an automatic spot, is Bolton Wanderers. It should be another strong season for the Trotters, as Ian Evatt continues to do a good job with this side, and they will certainly have a very good chance of getting one of the automatic spots, but I just think they're going to fall just a little bit short. Very strong team defensively, and a lot of that team, the majority of it, is still there this time around. The notable absentee is James Trafford in goal, who everybody is raving about, but he was fantastic for Bolton last season. Nathan Baxter or Joel Coleman are the goalies that have been brought in, and they've got big shoes to fill. And mainly as well for Bolton, it's goals that worry me a little bit. Or should worry the Bolton fans a little bit. I'm not that worried about it. I'm just stating what I think. And it was a bit of a stumbling block for the Trotters last season. Dion Charles is obviously great and will obviously score a lot of goals. And if he stays fit, they will be fine. But if he doesn't, then I think they might struggle a little bit. You've got Dan Dulo. He could be the guy to score some goals, but he needs to improve from what we saw last season. But I still think that this Bolton side has got a lot of quality. I'm talking about in terms of them making the jump from playoffs to automatic, and that just might be the stumbling block. But I still think they're more than good enough to be a side that gets in the playoffs, and I've got Bolton finishing in 3rd place. Coming in 2nd, bit of a shock this one, Charlton Athletic. Addicts fans, I think there should be a genuine buzz of excitement around your club this season. For a while now, you've been floundering playoffs or mid-table, but I think that you are going to be promoted this time around. Good news off the field as well. A takeover pretty much completed, or may have just been completed. Well, that's great as well. And on the field, Dean Holden did a good job at the back end of last season and has cleared out a lot of the dead wood and made some great signings. Defensively was where Charlton were poor last season, and they've looked to shore things up with Harry Isted coming in goal. Lloyd Jones will come into the defence as well, and those two should help shore things up. But going forward should be a lot of fun for Charlton fans this season. They don't have Raksaki, that's for sure, but they have brought in Alfie May, who was great and a match winner at Cheltenham last season, and centre midfielder Pashut Kamara. Kamara, who comes in from Plymouth, is a player that would get into any League One side and is a real dynamic box-to-box midfielder. And if you put these two alongside the likes of Blackett Taylor, Lee Byrne and Fraser, I think Charlton have got the quality to be like a Plymouth Argyle, and I think they're going to be somewhat of a surprise promoted side. That leaves us with 1st place, and that leaves us with a little round of applause for Derby County. Derby County are the bookies' favourites, and indeed they are my favourites to win the league. It is very hard to look past them. Rams fans, you should be looking forward to an exciting season where you're pushing again for promotion. Last time it was more to do with playoffs. Even though you did have a long unbeaten run in there, it ended up just finishing outside the playoffs. But I think this side, you are going to be the marquee side in League One. Are you going to be able to handle the pressure? Well, I think you've got the right man at the helm to do that, and that is in Paul Warne. He may not play the most attractive and enterprising football, but I think it's going to be football that certainly does a job, like what his Rotherham side did. Very powerful team indeed. Erin Cashin was immense at the back last season for Derby, and him along with Curtis Nelson and Sonny Bradley will bring experience to that back line. It's probably going to be a 3 centre-back pairing. Conor Hourihane is one of the best midfielders in the league, and you've got Mendes Lang, Joe Ward, who've got the skill and the creativity from wide areas to create the chances, and up front you've got the focal point in James Collins, and you've got a proven goal scorer in Connor Washington as well, who will need to come in and do well because you do have David McGoldrick's goals, which won't be there. I think Derby are going to bring in some stronger players as well, and it's really hard to me to look past any other side getting that top spot, so congratulations already. Celebrate it already, Derby fans, because I've got you winning the league. There it is, folks. There it is. League One done. League One in the books, according to me. Of course, you are going to disagree with probably like 90-95% of what I've done. That's understandable. And please feel free to put your comments down below, but please be kind. Just put whatever you want, that's fine. As I say, if you can support the video by giving it a like, or even if you don't like it, a dislike, that's fine. If you like the content and you want to support the channel by subscribing, then that will be most appreciated as well. But that's just my opinion. We'll do some more videos as League One pans out. It's very, very exciting. The start of the season is coming up. Let me know, again, what your thoughts and hopes and aspirations are for the season, but we'll leave it there for now. Probably get it completely wrong, as I said. And thanks for watching. I'll be back very soon. Football season's nearly upon us. Bye for now.